I'm a beginner with psychedelics, but I recently started growing my own golden teachers. One of my big boys sprouted yesterday and it came out to a gram ride. I thought to myself I should try a gram just to test it out and be safe. I made some chocolate milk and washed the gram down. Then I started watching Impractical Jokers with my girlfriend while waiting for it to kick in. Half an hour later I felt kinda woozy but nothing crazy. We were still watching Impractical Jokers at this point, but I started feeling extremely anxious for the jokers instead of haha funny. I told my girlfriend this and we both went to our room. I laid down and she asked if it was okay to play Fortnite with her friends. She asked me because she wanted to make sure I was okay. As I was laying down, I noticed that my mattress was breathing. I went to go touch it and moved my hand around the mattress in a circular motion for 30 minutes. It felt so nice, and in my headspace, I was perfectly okay with doing this forever. Boredom didn't exist anymore as everything was so interesting to me. I was watching my girlfriend play Fortnite with our friends, and that's when I got my only hallucination. Her friend was playing with her in Lego Fortnite, and they were building a house. I was watching and amazed by this house for some reason. All of a sudden, Fortnite turned into a horror game with blood and gore. I heard a loud scream from my girlfriend's headset. I blinked and it was all gone. I was kind of freaked out. I didn't want to be in that room anymore, so I went into the living room to watch South Park. It was an episode where a kid kills his mom because he left the toilet seat up. It was so unbelievably funny at the time. At this point, it's been 4 hours and I could tell it's wearing off. I spent the rest of the night watching Suicide Squad 2. I wanted to make this to give an accurate depiction of a low dosage shroom trip. I have a lot of friends and strangers who think a gram will send them to hell or heaven or something. And while this may be true for certain strains, it is not common. My 20 mile first time taking shrooms. I took 2.5 grams and my friend 20 mile took 3.5 grams. We chilled at his apartment in his living room and watched The Secret Life of Walter Mitty. I expected just to chill and enjoy the visuals while watching movies and playing Mario Kart, but I ended up focusing more inward and working through shit I thought I'd never be able to work through. I've had suicidal thoughts since about 10 years old, and at this point it's just become part of my life. I never really felt like I was at risk, but I have come quite close to suicide a handful of times. People always tell me that life is beautiful and that we have friends and family that love us. I didn't truly feel and understand those words until I took shrooms. I knew them purely as fact, but I didn't believe them in my soul. I thought about how much I love my parents, how much I love my friends, and for the first time in forever, I thought about how much I love myself. I thought about my recent substance abuse and was able to see it from a different perspective. I realized how beautiful life is, and that constantly chasing an altered state only takes away from it. I left the trip with the most unbelievable sense of peace and felt so grateful to have the opportunity to be alive. As we were coming down, 4 hours in, we headed to a friend's birthday party. I've never felt so natural and social in conversation before. It's like I was finally comfortable putting myself out there. I was no longer judging myself. I was just talking naturally, asking questions, making eye contact, making jokes and not overthinking about if they're funny enough. I haven't been able to feel confident in myself in years. Bro, I swear. I felt proud and happy to be myself, like the little voice in my head that was always criticizing that finally shut the fuck up. After the party, I went back to my apartment where I found my three friends watching a jazz dance improv competition on the TV. Our laughter felt genuine, jokes felt natural. I could sense in my heart that these people really did love me. It wasn't just some bullshit that people tell you. There really is love all around you. The next day, even after 24 hours, I could feel an improvement in my behavior. I was no longer easily agitated. I didn't take anything personally. I managed stress much better. Conclusion: this was obviously a small dose of shrooms, but it gave me very profound insights, even beyond what I mentioned in this post. I would love to try a higher dose in the future, but as of now, I'm very content with the lessons I've learned. Edit. Thanks for your nice comments and support. Also, I guess I misjudged the dosage and thought 2.5 was a small dose, when it's really not the case. I'm not sure if anybody actually reads these. It's kind of more for me, so I have a record of it, but I feel like sharing. Took about 5 grams of shrooms this past Saturday with a buddy. He was initially pretty nervous about it, and I didn't want to push him in anyway. But he eventually came around on his own. We ate them on top of a Popeye's chicken sandwich, and they kicked in about 30 minutes, much faster than my first time taking them. The come up was particularly rough. I was very nauseous, and even though my headspace was chill, I had a lot of body anxiety and couldn't get rid of it. I simultaneously wanted to run a marathon and also lie flat on the floor and not move. We started watching Planet Earth as we kind of took care of our unpleasant symptoms, walking around and getting some fresh air outside while the sun was peeking out. My friend was much more restless than me and was getting frustrated with how his trip was going, saying he could not get comfortable and was feeling too anxious to function. David Attenborough was not helping, and we decided that the shark attacks and Komodo dragon wrestling was too much for us right now, so we switched it to Parks and Rec. My aunt, whose house I was staying at, texted me a very long and angry message about something that I pushed off because I didn't want that to manifest in my trip. The nausea for me came and went in intense waves, so I eventually made my way to the bathroom and lied on the floor just to be close to the toilet in case I needed to hurl. I started up my trip playlist I made a couple weeks ago in anticipation and just lied on the tile floor with my eyes closed. My friend was curled up in a ball in the bedroom trying to ride his wave out as well. We checked in with each other every so often just to make sure we're still doing okay. He was having a much worse time than me, but I knew he needed to ride it out on his own to get to the good part. I started seeing scary faces on the walls and also when I closed my eyes. I was so terrified of having a bad trip that I tried my best to push him aside and manifest better visuals, but they just came back worse. I wasn't scared of them at this point. I just didn't want my trip to turn dark. After a few more minutes of fighting this, I just decided to let these creepy faces in and see where it goes. They're gonna hurt me after all, right? I have to go wherever the trip takes me, because it's clearly trying to show me something. After I came to that realization, I immediately started peeking. Fear dissolved entirely, and the faces were just faces. Nothing was jumping out at me. I saw giant eyeballs on the wall that started blinking at me, but in a curious way, not a horrific way. I was flooded with this intense warmth and inner peace. I suddenly saw a giant mushroom standing before me, looking up at it, with a golden light shining above it. A vine dropped down next to the mushroom and I heard a voice say, "This is what the mushroom can teach you." I took the vine like it was somebody reaching out their hand and I was pulled up into outer space, where I felt a very familiar joy, as if seeing an old friend for the first time in a very long time. I recognized this feeling from the first time I tripped a little over a year ago, but this was much more intense. I noticed my physical body was flooded with tears, and I cried non-stop for hours and hours on the bathroom floor, tears of absolute joy. I was provided a wealth of knowledge I cannot possibly explain in our archaic human language. I saw how naive I've been and how I should be more open going forward. Among so many other important lessons, I decided to go through the text from my aunt because I realized it was causing a bad vibe to ignore it, so I apologized deeply and sincerely, and she replied back with even more love and compassion that only compounded with what I was already experiencing. I wanted to go check on my friend, but I didn't want to cut off his speed prematurely. Another voice told me that I have the power to end it whenever I want to. It's my own mind after all, and I can control it. My friend walked past and said something like this: the whole thing has been such a negative experience and he does not want to do this ever again. It's night time by this point, so I go turn on some lights for my friend and lie back on the couch. My peak euphoria returned and I continue listening to my playlist. My body finally plateaued as I was walking around the house, just playing with things and having a good time. We talked about how hard it was to do simple tasks like find something to watch on Netflix. He said he literally felt like he had died and has been reborn and now has to relearn everything all over again, but in a very joyful way. We both were given the opportunity to reinvent ourselves, and we had such profound conversations about the universe and a sense of self, and what we each learned about ourselves on our ongoing journeys while we were still tripping. My friend felt overjoyed and absolutely relieved after he broke through and said he's so excited to start his new life after this, that he is ready and able to take anything. I mentioned he had a really tough time on the upswing, and he said it was absolutely all worth it to get to this point of inner peace and clarity. He loved it so much and thanked me deeply for bringing him along, and he now wants to provide this experience with his roommate, who is also having a hard time in life. All in all, I am a genuinely changed person from this experience. I am looking at things in a new light, feeling refreshed and excited in a way I haven't in a long time, if ever. I'm so happy my friend believes it was a worthwhile experience. His ego death was brutal, but his soul is stronger from it now. I wish everyone the best possible vibes, and always remember, roll with whatever the mushrooms has to show you. Don't turn away from anything at all, or you'll miss the lesson.
This was my 11th or 12th trip, so I still feel pretty new to shrooms. Before this, the most I've ever taken was 3.5 grams, but my usual dose is around 0.5 grams. This happened 2 days ago. I planned to take 3 grams this time of blue meanies I bought, but I also had just harvested 34 grams dry of golden teachers that I grew. But I wasn't planning on taking them this time, so I took the 3 grams of blue meanies, and an hour later, I felt the shrooms calling me to go deeper. I've been in a pretty bad place in my life, and I needed something to change, and I just had this strong feeling that if I want something to change in my life, I need to stop messing around with small doses and go deep just this once, so I took on the challenge. First I ate another 1.5 grams of blue meanies, and then I ate around 15 grams of golden teachers. When I was eating them, I was already tripping, and I felt like some kind of caveman stumbling upon magic in the field and just eating it. Then I went to lie down and started watching those trippy YouTube videos that are made to watch while tripping, and then it really started hitting me. I was laughing and speaking some strange words, and I lost sense of reality. Life, death, language, earth, heaven, it was all the same to me. I didn't know who I was or where I was. My brain felt like it was 100% on. There is no good way to describe what I went through, as it was so intense. I was seeing beautiful fractals and patterns, and music was connecting with every fiber of my being. Then a couple hours in, I experienced panic like I never felt before. I wanted to die and for it to stop. I was worried if this continued, I would do something stupid like call 911. But then the shrooms told me to find an anchor I can hold on to if I panic in the trip, and I did. I found this song that was so powerful, it brought so much peace to me that tears were pouring from my eyes. I felt love like I never felt before. There were so many other things that I experienced, but don't have words to describe it. The whole trip lasted over 9 hours, and then I slept for 20 hours straight, and now I woke up and am writing this. I really needed healing from within, that is why I went so deep. But am I healed? I don't know. I'm still recovering from the trip, so I guess I will see in the next coming days and weeks. I do not recommend anyone to take such a large dose, especially alone. But if the shrooms call you to go deeper, you will know. I can say it was a good trip with some bad moments, but I had to accept them. I really hope it changed something within me. I'm sorry if some parts of my trip report are confusing. Like I said earlier, it's very hard to describe what I experienced in human words.